Right then, guys, let's get in.
Right, okay. Actual features, chat. Actual features.
Cyrus joins me right now, game designer.
Actual
and,
FM23 features. Let's go.
To tell me about 4 key aspects, guys, that we're going to talk about here. Cyrus, let's kick off with the first one. We've got 3 key elements and then something that brings it all together right at the end. So stick around, guys. First up is the squad planner. Tell us about the squad planner.
Yeah, so the squad planner, as you would guess from the name, it's all about helping you plan your recruitment out for the season. So if we take a step back and think about how, why did we bring in the squad planner? We were trying to assess how a manager looks at recruitment, what are the key stages of that process for them. So the way it'll work is we've got a brand new area, squad planner. When you go to...
Okay. Kind of looks like the recruitment window when you're approaching a transfer window. Kind of looks like that. No, I don't think we need this. So, are these people are already at the club?
So what you're going to see is your whole team, right? And then based on your tactic, every single position, you're going to have all the players ranked in terms of how good they are.
All right, so it's kind of like a re-skinning of the. Is it the team analysis page that you have right now?
And it's important to know this is kind of like a safe space, right? So it's like your secret book, right? Your key striker's not going to get upset when you put him 5th ranked because he'll never know, right? But your staff will know, and they can then start making suggestions based on what your planner looks like. So you go in, you can rank all your players, you can see how.
Oh right, okay.
You can start visualizing where you're strong.
Because I don't think you could rank them yourself before, could you? I think it only came up in like star rating order. You could remove players from positions, but I don't think you could rank them yourself.
We can, as the planner suggests, start planning for that season. Some of the really cool things is a bit like a dream team. When you're planning, it's maybe not just the players.
Here we go. Yeah.
Long-term targets.
That's what it used to look like.
How would my team look based around this new midfielder? So anyone on your shortlist can be brought into your planner at any time.
Okay.
So you add a player to your shortlist, you bring them into your planner, you can rank them, see how they compare to your current team. But also we do that with youth, right? So any youth player that you've got, you can bring in and see. And talking about youth, we don't only have a current season planner, we have a next season planner and a season after planner, right? So you can be thinking, long term, how is my team going to look in 2 seasons' time from now? The idea is hopefully you've given you as much information as possible so you can really make a great assessment which can help you lead into that next phase, which is planning out exactly what you're going to do with your resources.
I really love the way it looks.
I'll wait until the end of the...
I get it.
I assume this is...
under this umbrella of
recruitment revamp.
It's had
so this
a
is going to
real
be like a similar kind
shot
of thing,
in the arm this year.
When it gets to the end of the little bit, I'll talk about it a little bit.
That we really want to dive into, and there's a whole raft of changes here. First one, recruitment focuses.
Okay, so like just go back to the planner. What are we on there? 7:16. Holly! Who else is excited? Hell yeah. Giga excited. So this is like the same thing that you have right now, where you can look at the players that you've got available.
You've got long-term targets that you've...
But then you can bring it in here. The next season and season after is pretty cool. I wonder how many people will actually use this, or how many people will just go into like a transfer window panicking and end up with 15 midfielders. I've done that. I've started a season with 7 strikers in a 4-3-3. So like it reminds you of what you've got there. It's kind of like it's almost like an idiot check. That's how I'll be using it. As an idiot check. It's like, don't forget you've got these 4 kids that are going to be coming up in 2 years. Got these guys joining and all that kind of stuff. But I wonder how with this, it's a cool thing, but I wonder how much of it is actually going to be used, like, because there was. I wonder whether it would be similar to like the data hub. Like I used the data hub loads at the start, and I really like the features of the data hub. But the further I got into the game, the more I was just I didn't use it as much because my frustrations with it not allowing me to go beyond my league were there. And I wonder whether this is something where I'll use it for the first couple of years and then just kind of go, well, it's just it's an idiot check thing for me.
Really want to dive into.
We'll see. Like, I've not got my hands on it yet. That's just literally like first reaction to it.
Recruitment focuses. there's been a real change on this one, isn't there?
So the idea is now we've switched from assignments to this concept of recruitment focuses. So they work in a very similar way. Your chief scout, if you leave them fully responsible, will base off setting up different focuses based on what they think's best. At any time, you can come in and say, I want this focus set up, and you can set up a bunch of parameters as well. Position, role.
He's really good person. A lot easier to navigate than the squad depth screen.
A bunch of different things, and
I think that's the thing. Like, once I have a click around it, it'll make more sense in my head. I'm never great at looking at something that's like presented to me and understanding how I'll use it. I was exactly the same with the data hub, right? When the data hub was announced, I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. Like, can't we already get that information? And then I got my hands on it. I was like, oh, this is wicked. This is great.
They will then go off and start searching for that type of player.
Because essentially you're saying this is an ability to
that's how I find my big meaty strikers, right?
Delegation to your team, which is a big part of FM these days. It's not
your 30-year anniversary of playing CMFM.
The game's moved on. So in terms of it affecting your inbox, which cause sometimes there are, I'm guilty of it myself at times, going da-da-da-da-da-da. There's going to be a strong effect on the inbox?
Yeah, well, the idea is to just reduce the noise a little bit, right? As you said, you get that, what we sometimes call like spacebar fever, right? Like
searching for weight.
25 reports.
Yeah, you can look for the weight of a player.
First 2-3 maybe
minimum
pay
weight,
attention to,
maximum
but like
weight.
most things, by the 23rd, I'm clicking through.
You know me so well.
Yeah, right. So the idea is now that your
Yodel
is something that we should be careful about what we put in there, right? So the idea is your staff have done their due diligence. They've hit the maximum they're going to know on a player, and then they say, this is everything we've got on this guy. It's up to you now, based on this information, where you want to go.
So percentages have gone?
So percentages have gone completely, yeah. We no longer say this guy's at 88% player knowledge. And the main reason for that is we just wanted to be super clear about how far along in the internal scouting process you are. So previously you could scout a player and he could get to 30%, and maybe you've spent 2 weeks on scouting that player. But then there might be another player that you've done no scouting on 65%. That might be because his reputation's super high, or they're playing in the same league as you, so you naturally know more about them. And we felt that sometimes that's a bit disconnecting, especially when you're sifting through reports. You're like, well, how much longer has I got left to go? Should I just spacebar and wait? So what we wanted to make it sure is that we make it really clear how far along the process you are, so that you know which information is actionable. So you hit your inbox, you get told this is an extensive report, meaning we're not going to be doing anything more on this. Now it's up to you. Do you want to make this decision or not? Essentially, the scouts now do 4 key stages of checks. You set up a focus, or your head scout sets up a focus, and now your team will go grab a big bunch of players that potentially fit that. And at each of the 4 stages, they're going to find out a little bit more about these players and start whittling that list down. So by the end of it, you've got a more refined list of players that have all hit extensive reports that fit what you've been asking for, or what your chief scout thinks you need. What it allows us to
I like that. I feel like scouting's needed a bit of an overhaul for a few years.
More fit what you're needing, but also it gives us this nice ability.
It's almost like a click through and forget
at the last stage,
for me at this point anyway. With scout reports.
Scouting Centre, we've revamped how that looks.
Less weird.
You go there.
Dressing to the side today.
Page, which gives you a great bunch of information. You get some recommended players. We've even put like a sort of guided direction. Maybe you're not sure what you should be doing. You can get little tips. Maybe you want to hire more scouts. Maybe this focus might be finished. Maybe you want to set up a different type. But when you go to the recruitment focus page specifically, you can select any of the focuses that are set up, and you can, when they're complete, you can hit what we call near misses. And these are guys that have dropped out at the last second. So potentially, from whatever criteria you've set, they've just missed out. Bit too tall, bit too short, bit too old. Maybe you've asked for guys that hit 80% pass completion rate, and this guy hit 74. So then it gives you a chance.
That's cool,
if no
right?
one in that
I like
list is really doing it for you. You can go to
that's going to be way better than if you want to do like an immersive gameplay thing, right? So if you want to go and like, okay, these are the kind of players I'm after. I want my scouting team to go out and find them and bring me back the best ones. Kind of like, if you want to do that slightly more realistic version of Football Manager, rather than going, all right, I'm going to go into my scout page and I'm going to search for all these attributes and just sign anyone who's got those attributes. This is kind of like, it's allowing your team to do the whittling down for you and allowing your team to
Okay,
to kind of,
maybe I thought I really wanted something.
you know,
but
look for
this actually is now,
the kind of players that
I'm
you're
happy
asking
to
for and
compromise.
needing.
So you're catering for, you know, the laissez-faire FM managers, but also those guys who want that control that, you know, no one's missing, you know, through the net. You've got people with those near misses.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's move on to part 3 of this, which is agents. Now, we've chatted with Miles about how, you know, real life or real football is always being implemented into the game. You're always analysing the game itself to try and make FM as immersive as possible. And agents have become a stronger and stronger part of it. And you've moved it on again. Their influence is being seen in this game this year, isn't it?
I mean, agents can be a bit controversial. Like, love them or loathe them, they're a huge part, especially of top league
They're not
football.
going anywhere, are they? Yeah.
They're not going anywhere at all. And the reality is, any deal to do with a top player, I mean, any contract, transfer, that agent's the first point of contact. That's who gets
Bung agent feature.
How it's going to go. So what we've done is,
I wonder whether
now
like
when you go talk to an
there'll ever be a
external
thing
player
where
and
you
talk to
can
their
get an agent
and
on
say, "Are you
board
interested?" They give you some
as a
ballpark
DOF, you know, like
ideas.
Wolves do.
We now added a next step where you can back a little bit. So say you really like a player and his agent's saying, this is the sort of wage they're looking at, and you just know for a fact you're never going to be able to afford that wage. You can now say, this looks great, but we're just never going to come to terms on this wage. And then it depends, you know, on the agent and the player's interest.
That's cool.
So you get this little back and forth.
I did feel it was a little bit, not like one-dimensional, but it was like there wasn't many options there. It was like, how much you after? And then you can either say, yes, we're going to make a bid for you, or no, we're not going to make a bid for you, basically. And that'd improve or decrease the, you know, how much the agent liked you and that kind of stuff. So I like that. That's cool. It's a little thing. It's a little addition.
Understanding, because it's all great going to talk to an agent, but if there's something you know you're never going to be able to hit, it's nice to just be able to say, is there any compromise here that we can do? So
there's also trouble with accuracy, how much they want it. Yeah.
To your own players. If you want to renew a contract with one of your own players, talk to their agent.
I like this. I was saying that I'd like something like this, where like we've all had it, right? Where we want to go and talk to a player for a new contract, and they want a 5x increase on their contract. So the player's on 20 grand. It's like, yeah, I want 150 grand. It's like, what? Are you mental? They want to like become the highest paid player at the club. So here you'll be able to feel it out and like kind of come to a pre-agreement. That's cool.
External players, they'll give you a feel. Oh, he'd be happy to for this sort of package. It's like getting the feelers out. That's what we want to make sure that there's nothing like officially locked in here. Okay. This is just a light touch.
Taking them out to dinner, aren't you?
Yeah.
You know, you're schmoozing a little bit. I see.
Exactly.
Nice. I can tell it in your
That's
eyes.
cool.
Your eyes have changed a lot there. I get what you're talking about. Let's get on to the fourth feature here, because it kind of brings it all back together again, and something you talk about, the implementation and impact of agents and how you started there and you've moved it forward, and I think that's the same with a lot of elements of the game. But recruitment meetings debuted in FM21. How are you taking it forward this year?
Meetings are a tough one in general, right? Like real life, any meeting that doesn't have a designated purpose or ends with actionable information.
I'm going to preface this with, I never used recruitment meetings. So if they can make it look a little bit more appealing to me, I've just realised I've got F1 manager in the background making noises. 1 second. Where's my mixer? Volume mixer. If anyone can hear like tire guns going off, all that kind of stuff, yeah, that's just F1 manager in the background.
It can feel like it was a waste of time, and the more of those you have, the less likely you want to go to the next one. So we really tried to think, why should you spend your time in this meeting? What can we do? And specifically with the recruitment meeting, we realised that
I used them at the
we
beginning.
have to adapt. And
I assume, like, people who've used them more often, have you used it when you've been doing, like, lower league saves and things? So I assume it's one of those things that's way more valuable in a lower league save. Because you don't have the scouting ability to send people out. You can just kind of get people to bring players to you, almost.
Recruitment meetings need to be bespoke for the stage of the season you're in. So we broke it down into 3. First thing we're going to do is show you a new planner. this is how it's set up. Are you happy with it? Do you want to tinker with it? You know, just give you an introduction to this new part of the game that exists. And then the last part of that is, here's what your staff think you should be focusing on in terms of recruitment focuses. Here's the ones they're going to set up. Do you want to set up any additional ones yourself? Whereas right now, the very first recruitment you go into, 3 or 4 days into your job, we're hitting you with players you might want to sign. It's a lot to ask, you know, new to the job. So that's why, you know, you're no longer going to get that in your first recruitment meeting. When you finish the meeting, your staff are going to go execute, right? So then in a few weeks after that, you're going to get another meeting.
It's usually not as much money, yeah.
And that, as the name sounds, they're just going to explain to you, here's how we found, based on the focuses, here's potentially who you've signed, so a focus that may no longer be relevant, and also players maybe you've been trying to sell. Here's the 3 players you've been trying to sell, 2 of them we've managed to offload. So you get just an update on how things are going, and based on that, maybe you want to change your plan a little. And then the final one is transfer deadline day. So we obviously improved that a lot last year. And now you have essentially a very quick update meeting. Transfer deadline days are coming. Let's quickly review what we're still missing. Out of the focuses you've set, we've signed no one. Out of the players you've listed, we've sold no one.
I've definitely got halfway through a transfer deadline day. I was supposed to sign a left back.
We need to maximise.
So that's helpful.
But on the flip side, I've hit everything I need to hit. You know
That's
what?
definitely
when that
happened to
deadline
me.
day comes around, I can happily sit back and sit that one out.
So exciting times when it comes to recruitment, be it if you want a bit more chaos or you want a bit less chaos, either way it's in your hands.
Yeah, for sure. Just trying to give you as much
I didn't have with
control as you
Athletic
want,
recently.
You know, to play it your way. Essentially, that's what football managers are all about, right? Creating your own story. So we just want to empower you as much as
I don't know what you're
possible
talking
to be
about.
able to
No
shape
idea.
the story however you think.
Here we go.
So once you've
Here's
used
the bit everyone cares about. Match engine, chat. Match engine.
all those recruitment tools, you got yourself a few one
Match engine's
kids, a few
perfect.
experienced pros, and you got a world-class team together. You want to get onto that pitch and see how they perform. And so now we move on.
Any new
to
roles?
one of the GOATs, of course, Nick Madden, who's had a promotion, by the way. Now senior match engine producer, Nick Madden, and lead match QA analyst, CJ Ramson, to talk about the match engine, and so much
What did I
more.
miss?
This is a juicy
Some
bit,
stuff
guys. This is
on
exciting.
recruitment, squad
You've got a
planning,
lot of
that
love
kind of stuff.
for the game last year, which is nice, isn't it?
Oh.
How do you feel about that, and what can we expect this year?
Yeah, it was absolutely phenomenal, the reception last year to all of the features and just still the amount of players that are playing FM22. We're incredibly proud. So many people scoring a load of goals, sort of tearing up the script themselves. And yeah, it's about us this year, again, trying to beat ourselves.
Anything of interest?
So difficult, yet so rewarding.
I really like the
something
expansion of
that is never finished. Because we're iterating.
agents. You can talk to agents
every
about
year
contract
on the
renewals now.
match engine,
That's cool.
and yeah, we want to take it to those extra levels.
The other stuff, though, like the other stuff's gonna be one of those things I need to get my hands on to get an idea of how it works.
So for FM23, we spent the majority of our cycle working on our AI managers. So we, like at Football Manager, we look at every single
think Nick's just
manager
quite softly
across
spoken.
the world. So we have 1,000 scouts all across the world that are looking at the different data points of all the managers. So we want to simulate those managers in the best way possible. So we want them to have their tactical styles be reflected in the match engine and in the AI simulation. So the AI managers are essentially all of those managers across the world and how we represent them, how we represent their playing style, and overall how they play within the simulation world. Now our AI managers, they can select the right formation, they can select the right tactical instructions to hopefully go into that tactical battle with not just the human manager, but also the other AI managers.
Wow.
Because we're simulating thousands upon thousands and millions upon millions of matches.
That's cool.
All in the
Better
background.
AI managers,
So
make
we
the game
wanna make
harder.
Sure that simulation world
Stop
is
people whinging it's
both
too easy.
believable, realistic, and when you're playing in a match, you feel like there's that tactical battle. You feel like you're being tested, but also, you know, the AI manager is representing what we're getting from the data.
In terms of that sophistication, that's where you come in when it comes
Nick's
to
just a
the
bit quiet,
testing,
isn't
I would imagine, CJ. How extensive is that? Tell me about your role here at FM.
So the main part of my role within the team is to kind of lead the team in making sure that our testing and the final match engine is as close to real life as we can get. So We watch a lot of real football, obviously in our spare time, casually, but also at work during meetings. We'll have meetings where we watch a full match of football, and it won't just be looking at the scoreline or attacking defensive play. We'll really break it down. So how does this team press? We'll compare a low block to a high press. We'll compare different types of manager style to really see, is that reflected in game, and does Football Manager look as close to real life as possible? Along with watching real football as well, we also watch a lot of the match engine, not just playing the game ourselves, but also as a team.
See,
we'll be watching matches,
I'd love this.
breaking down.
I'd love this ability in game. I know it's like this is for like technical checking. I'd love to be able to have these kind of annotations in game. Almost go a bit Monday Night Football on it. Like highlight a player, have a ring around a player. Like have players marking, like who your player's supposed to be marking
them down
on the screen,
and trying to find where we can make improvements from that.
That feeling of it being real is quite an elusive term for you to sort of try and get to grips with and then apply into a game. So in terms of to try and get across that reality from one to a video game, how tough is that for you each year? How much are you watching?
As we're all fans of football, we all know how random football can be. You never know, an underdog can be a big...
God, sis, you're so negative. Everything that I've seen in this video is you just going, oh, it's not as good as... I've been doing it that way anyway. It's not very good. I see this is still rubbish. Come on, man. Jesus Christ.
Team or a big team can have 20 shots a game, and
you never want to lose that, do you?
You never want to, but in real life it happens. You can have the high XG, you can have the high expected score, but sometimes you just don't win. So trying to reflect all these things, but also reflect how some of the top teams play with a variety of styles at the same time.
You've got a guy here talking about how in depth they go to watching matches, to try and analyse things, to breaking down tactics, to how different managers play, how different tactical systems play. And then you're saying, oh, stands are looking a bit boring.
It's difficult to get the balance, but it's something I feel
Jesus
in recent
Christ.
years, and especially this year, we've managed to get looking really good. One of the main things we really wanted to do was improve the defensive side of the football. As much as everyone loves to go forward and press high and attack, we also want you to be able to kind of sit in a low block and be able to soak pressure and counter-attack as well.
See, I think the game, this year's game, FM23, was way better than it has been in previous versions. You had way more flexibility in terms of the tactical ways you could play, the ways you could set up, all that kind of stuff. So it was way improved this year. If they've gone another step and made it even better, I'm well happy with that.
We have the tools to be able to defend as well as attack. And one of the main things we really wanted to improve was how teams can soak up pressure and then attack on the transition and attack on the break. So
you're kind of utilising that example of that trend of the defensive nature of it. I know that's something that's changed with the game. Also, I think I've certainly seen it, is that there is an evolution of language when we talk about football. And I think...
I've got my list of things I wanted to improve: team talk and media repetitive, basic look at the stadia. All right. That doesn't mean you just have to whinge about everything that's not exactly what you wanted, man. Come on.
FM are a huge part of that in terms of understanding how things work, analytics, which is a big part of last year's game. So talk to me about that, because there are some changes in, one, the wording, but also the defensive tactical instructions as well.
Yeah, so this year we've added in a lot of more instructions to the defensive side. So when our player base, as soon as they load up,
they started scouting out. They have had it. We went over it a little bit earlier in the video, but as a quick wrap up, they've changed how you handle scouting and handle recruitment. So instead of it, I'm sure you can still go in the really hands-on way and go in and just look for certain attributes, but the way it looks like they're trying to streamline and modernize and make it feel a little bit more role-play. The way that you'd set up a recruitment team, try and find the kind of players that you're after, send them out to go and find them, and then they can bring them back and and you can almost knock them off as you don't like them, or they keep bringing more improved scouting reports for the ones that really match what you're after.
To the out of possession tactics, they're going to see a change straight off the bat. The first one is really trying to simplify the line of engagement and the terminology that's used, because... Ooh!
Nice. Okay. Sorry, I was talking over that then.
Understanding how
there's
things
another
work,
another defensive instruction.
Big part of last year's game. So talk to me about that, because there are some changes in, one, the wording, but also the defensive tactical instructions as
Yes.
Yeah, so this year we've added in a lot of more instructions to the defensive side. So when our player base, as soon as they load up FM23, they go to the out of possession tactics.
Right, let's have a look here then. So you've still got your line of engagement and where your defensive line sits. So you figure out where your press initiates. How often you trigger the press, prevent a shot goalkeeper instruction, we know that. Tackling, defensive line. Okay. Okay. So you've got a defensive line instruction now. Does he talk about it?
They're going to see a change straight off the bat. The first one is really trying to simplify the line of engagement and the terminology that's used, because we feel that it's really hard to get across what a much higher line really is and what that represents. So we thought, well, why don't we simplify this, but also make it more football specific, make it more the language that you're hearing on television and by real life managers and interviews. So we've gone for that low block, mid block and high press. So we've simplified that, but also it enables the end user of the game to have more control.
When it comes to the...
I just want to go back to that screen in a sec.
As soon as they load up FM23, they go to the out possession tactics. They're going to see a change straight off the bat.
So that's cool, right? So you got your when you're playing higher up, you've got your high press, mid block, and then a low block when you drag it lower. I'm interested to know what this defensive line thing is. I wonder whether your defensive line here. Oh right, okay. So when you're out of possession, like you can have your standard defensive line, but you can also have it so that you'll drop into more of a compact block, I guess, when you go drop deeper. Whole defensive line's going to try and keep that flat line. But, like, dropping deeper would, like, drop your players onto the edge of your box, I guess. So you could theoretically play with a high defensive line in the initial press. I wonder whether this only initiates, like, a certain point of the play. So say you're in your own, like, defensive third. I wonder whether this only initiates here. Whereas this is more conducive to when you're pressing it in their final third. So this is your pressing game. And this is how you handle it when it's in your defensive third, I assume. I think. That's cool. Stop crosses. Be first in FM. I like this though. Like, so if you're doing a compact low block, you can select invite crosses. If you've got a load of guys... if you've got a load of guys in the middle that have got really good in the air, or if you've got a keeper that can deal with crosses really well, maybe you want to invite the crosses. Whereas if they aren't that great, but you're better at like defending in the centre, maybe you stop the crosses and try and get them to play it back into the middle of the park. Same with the pressing trap. The trap outside and the trap inside. I assume that's how like the force wide and force narrow from last year. So you could theoretically trap outside, stop crosses, and then create like pressing traps in these areas. So you could force them into the wide areas, stop the crosses, and try and get your players around them and win the ball back. That's cool. I'm all up for anything.
First one is really
that adds
trying
to
simplify the
tactical creation, like whether that be player roles, like tactical shapes, whatever it is. That was really cool. It'd be very interesting to play that.
We've simplified that, but also it enables the end user of the game to have more control.
When it comes to the players themselves then, talk to me about that. We're talking about formation and those broad strokes. What about the players themselves?
So yeah, we've made, honestly, numerous of changes to FM23's match engine and our players' decisions. I guess I'll start at the back. So our goalkeepers now, they have the ability to do K blocks and spreads and spread blocks. So our goalkeepers will now look bigger, more intimidating in those one-on-one situations. So it's about them feeling a lot more natural, playing like that goalkeeper that you see, that world-class goalkeeper. They're also much better with the ball at their feet, and the setups for goal kicks, both short and long, we've had to make a lot of adjustments and a lot of improvements there.
Oh, that's good. I've always felt like goal kicks are something that looks a little bit dated in the match engine.
I think the biggest improvement that people will see is how well defenders deal with the ball aerially, and how they look to adjust.
Defenders winning aerial duels. I'm so happy.
Their body position to make
I'm
that
so
header
happy.
trajectory of that defensive header as well. The main thing that I found like brilliant this year with our defensive play is not just the pressing, but also the sort of the back pressure.
Sounded like you said depressing.
In previous FMs, like the midfielders or the attackers, they didn't really feel that pressure behind them as much. It feels now that with the pressing angles that we've really improved, and also the way that players do tackle. So they won't just go for that slide tackle hell for leather every time. Like they will look to try and can they intercept, can they block, can they poke that ball away? So it's a lot more nuanced, and yeah, especially with that defensive stability, they look to, oh, I can quickly nip in there. Oh, I'll quickly step in and get that intercept.
I'm such a nerd. Like I want the ability to look at this in game. I bet there's probably a console command or something, right? There's probably a mod to put this back in.
And then we can break. So yeah,
I want to see what my players are thinking.
Those breakups in play and that like sort of chaotic nature of that like midfield zone. That's what we've really tried to replicate this year, is the chaos of football, not just the pretty tiki-taka. Like it is about like making the engine feel believable.
Because we spoke about the animation engine last year, and I remember your face lighting up as you had to tell me about it. What's happening this year with the animation engine?
Yeah, so talking about the animation engine last year, I was so excited because it was the foundations. Like the new engine was the foundations for us to go forward. And this year we have overhauled all of our on-ball actions. So last year we touched a bit on it with the dribbling first touches. We have overhauled the selection criteria for every single action that you have in the game, on the ball, so that it really looks at anything where it could be the ball incoming speed, the ball outgoing speed, where the ball is coming from, where it needs to go next. Hopefully our fans will see the kicks now, any sort of pass, finish. There's a lot more variety.
I did think it looked a lot better last year.
A lot like more realistic.
There were some obviously janky bits where it
of what's going on.
Didn't pick the right animation at the right time.
The outside of the foot versus the inside of the foot. There's so much collaboration with our AI
Yo,
team
Sebi!
and the animation team, because
thank you so much for the 18 months, my dude.
I've, as an FM player for so many years, seen a player chest and volley within the same action, like bang, bang, and it looks a lot more realistic. So yeah, I'm so proud of both what the animation team have been able to deliver and their collaboration with the AI changes, and being welcoming of, we're making these AI changes, we need it to look good as well.
I guess the final question for me to ask you guys is, with that all in place, what would you say to fans of FM? Can they be excited this year?
It just feels a lot more real to me, and I'm really excited.
It was Southgate.
Our testing team.
He's not got a waistcoat on.
Much harsher.
Understands tactics more as well.
People in the public. So we have very high standards of ourselves. So we want it to be the best yet for our fans.
On that, there's always a dissenting minority, right? I think year on year the game gets better. Like I think it improves every year, and to keep improving it year on year is such a massive task. I tweeted this out, right? It's really easy to kind of, like, people get frustrated with the game the more they play it, right? I've got 1,600 hours in the game. I'm very open with my frustrations about the game. But the reality is, any game that you play for hundreds, if not thousands of hours, you're going to, like, hyper-focus on the little things that aren't perfect. On the little things that repetitively happen, on the things that you don't like. So you're going to hyper-focus on those things. It's really easy to get bogged down in that, in the things that you don't like. It's the same with anything that's like negative, reinforcement on negative things that are said to you. Like, it's really easy to concentrate on the tiny thing that is a negative rather than the big things that are positives. So, like, granted, there have been issues with the game in the past, and I'm sure there will be in the future. But like, I think it's really important to remember like how good the game actually is, rather than just nitpicking at the little things.
FM23 is on its way, as is the UEFA Club competitions being fully licensed in this new game. Danny Quinn, the licensing producer, and Ria Graf, the junior game designer, join me now to celebrate that fact. Danny, talk to me about when you get a new license in FM and what that entails.
Sure. Well, I mean, we've already got 600 odd
clubs licensed in the game, 50
Yo, tipsy.
competitions. So generally, we have a template to follow when we get a new licenser on board. Means that we know that we're going to have logos, kits, match balls, tier dressings, and perimeter boards, all those sort of things that help make things look more authentic. With UEFA, we realised that if we follow that template, we're actually quite limited on what we can do. Immediately, it was how can we make this special?
Ooh.
How can we incorporate this into a feature or multiple features, and really kind of maximise the value, not just for us but for the user as well. Is there any other visual elements you immediately think of with UEFA competitions?
Well,
So
I guess two things. One at the start of the game, one at the end of the game. One would be how the players come out. Again, you kind of utilise that music within that. So I'd be intrigued to know if that's become a part of it. But I guess checks for the follows, guys.
I'm a stickler for trophy lists. They've got to be done right. And are either of those going to be sort of affected by this? Yeah, both. So player walkouts, you're looking at the matchday props.
Have we got the proper big ears trophy?
You think of the Champions
League. That's all I care
the
about.
Star ball in the centre circle. And that's the same with all of the
yes, the
competitions.
Etihad's got fans in it.
Those are included in the walkouts. With trophy lifts, we've got
cool
bespoke trophy podiums for each of those competitions this year. So each of those will look and feel like the real thing when you're there, or as much as we can do. And then even down to things like sleeve patches. So we've had to incorporate, and this is the benefit as well. We're looking for something that's going to maximise the license and find those opportunities. But some of those extra opportunities trickle into our other licenses as well. So we're having to have sleeve patches that are dynamically changed depending on the competition you're in. By having that feature having that technology available to us, functionality, it means that we can apply that. You mentioned QPR and on your save. If you leave the championship, you'll no longer wear the championship sleeve patch. If you were to get relegated, you'd wear a League One sleeve patch. I did that.
Yeah.
but
even if you got
promoted as well, you still get the Carabao Cup ones. But it's those that making sure that they all dynamically show the correct competition you're in as well, because we wanted to make sure that was possible for the Champions League. That functionality's there. It's there.
Who are those people on the right? I assume that'll be like a Zoom dev meeting.
The following season, you wear the winner's sleeve patch as well.
Do you?
So there's these like gorgeous little touches, isn't there, that you're just able to sort of just go forth with. That's, I guess, obviously what you do with it all. How's it been working with the UEFA brand?
I mean, it's obviously such an amazing opportunity. It's this big brand. Everyone in football knows it. Everyone wants to reach the Champions League when they play Football Manager. So to have the opportunity to take some of that excitement
and include the new Champions League
to our game has just been so great.
We were talking about the cup draws before we started filming, and you were saying some lovely stuff about that feeling of celebration and what it will bring this year. Talk to me about that.
So what we really wanted to do was just add a greater sense of excitement, celebration, and make it more of an occasion that is closer to what you might expect from a real life draw. So we really wanted to move away from just a list that appears sometimes in the game and make it a real event. So we've made cup draws a full screen experience this year. And we don't just want it to be another feature that you skip away from. So what we did, we added a lot of narrative elements that really connected to the rest of the narrative elements.
Oh, so it's got like the social media thing. I forgot what social media was called then. It's got like all the in-game tweets there.
That really connected to the rest of the Football Manager world and the rest of your save.
It's only a little thing, but it's something that like
that actually evolves with you as well. So it will reflect your
it's
journey
a little bit more immersive.
Where you started, where you are now, and establish a greater sense of history throughout. So you will have more context to the competitions, to the clubs you're facing against, and your own journey. So and for UEFA, that especially, it is a celebration. We're celebrating cup draws, we're celebrating having the license, and we're celebrating.
It feels like there's, so far anyway, it looks like there's quite a few new like just UI tweaks, little things that make the game look a bit nicer, feel a bit nicer to play, feel a bit more polished. Because one of the criticisms is, or has been, the UI, whilst there's like little tweaks here and there, nothing's fundamentally changed that much. Feels like there's a lot of things that have gone in this year that just make everything feel a little bit more together, a little bit more modern.
With the official graphics and logos is going to be even more exciting.
Yeah, and there's going to be commentary in that as well. So text at the top. So again, it would be one where I think in the past there might have been certain FM managers who would have gone, okay, well, I'll just find out who it is or just let it happen quickly. People are going to slow down, aren't they, when it comes to the cup draws now?
I'd imagine so, yeah. I mean, the pace of it, it's still your choosing. There will be an element that happens. If you were to leave it, it will happen by itself. But there's also ability to go through at your pace if you're someone that might want to go a bit quicker.
If you want to speed run Football Manager, shout. If you're a speed runner.
Draws as well. It's at all three of those levels: the Conference League, Europa League, and Champions League. And I think that's something that separates.
That actually looks really cool. I know it's a really simple thing.
Other games where you immediately want to go to the top level and try and do everything at the best you can, like to have even your first season in QPR manager, might be a Conference League, would be the first time you're in Europe. We want to make sure that feels as special because it's the first time there, and then the following season, then it's.
No one sat through the cup draws in the native time.
Fourth, season,
I do.
Okay, now it's Champions League glory, but each time it feels increasingly more special, and every level has been.
And if you've got the live little tweets coming up of reactions of people, whilst it's happening, that could be pretty fun.
I guess you've played the game as well. How has that felt? Playing the game, does it feel that little bit different? Because I think a lot of people, myself certainly, as soon as I saw that, I was really, really excited.
The visual elements of the in stage.
Poor Jimmy, he's never going to see the Champions League if he keeps managing QPR, is he?
With the big ones for me.
You'll have to do an offline save with someone good.
I'm going to be more introduced to this year because I was one of those users that just sort of skips through it, doesn't worry too much. But now I'm going to make sure to spend time with it.
Future me as a manager, when I hopefully get QPR to that point, I thank you both for that. Thanks for spending a bit of time and chatting to me about it. I'm excited to get into the Champions League.
Yeah.
Fans make football
keep dreaming, Jimmy. I've played you at FM.
FM23, their voices are being represented by the new supporter confidence feature. To help me bring a bit of French sophistication and just to explain this whole process is lead game designer Remy. Thank you for sitting down. We've had a chat about all sorts already before we started rolling it, but I'm so excited to talk about this supporter confidence. I say excited as a manager in the game myself. I've had some moments with the fans over the years, so it also brings a little bit of nerves for me, and I imagine it will do for fans playing the game this year as well. First of all, explain to me what the supporter confidence feature is.
Well, Football Manager is very much about stories, right? The stories that you tell yourself, the choices that you make all throughout the game. And
I've said this before. Football Manager, as much as people say it's a football sim, a management sim, I think it's got story elements to it. It's a story builder. It's got RPG elements to it. You upgrade your manager. You collect the best stats on your players or your tools or whatever. You come up with the tactics to win the games and go on through it. Create your story.
But these stories are not specifically about matches, not specifically about players. They're about the world of football.
Fly planes with banners now.
When the design team really evaluated what was in and trying to amplify the stories that were already created by the players. The rationale here was fans are a big part of football, but they are not really a big part of the game yet. And this is something that we should probably work on, and this is what we did. So it was really about making sure that fans were represented in one way, but that would also impact directly the gameplay of the game and your choices.
And visually, literally, as you see it within the game, how did you come up with that visual representation of it?
So in the game, you're going to be able to see the breakdown of that fan base directly on screen. So when you're making the choice of which club you're going to manage, you're going to see what's the proportion of
it's all about
casual,
the hashtag narrative,
hardcore, more fair weather type of fans as well. And so this is something that you're going to be really just look at it in terms of percentages and.
Ooh, this is new. What have we got here? Global fan base known for being loyal, passionate and ambitious with pressure to deliver success. Only have a very low level of influence on the board. Feel their views are unlikely to have any impact on the board's decisions. Oh, okay. So, like, it's going to change. Like, if you piss off all the fans and the board obey to the fans, then you could end up losing your job. Sport profile got 8% hardcore fans. This is cool. Casual fans, corporate fans. Season ticket waiting list as well. Oh, that's cool. So, like, you could... I wonder whether there's going to be a bit of dialogue if you're asking for a stadium expansion or, like, a new stadium. If you've got a ton of season ticket waiting list, I wonder whether that'll be a thing of, like, look how many people are waiting to give us money. That'd be cool. None of these look that much different. Is this just the supporters then? So they want us to sign. They'd want you to sign German players, play attacking football. So you can have supporter expectations as well as board expectations. I really like that. Finish above Schalke. That's cool. I really like that. That's a very, very cool addition.
How it impacts your gameplay.
Arsenal
so
are 8% casual.
Try to be really as true as possible to reality and really trying to capture the essence of clubs, of leagues, and of nations as well. We know that football have a vastly different cultural impact in different countries. The research team really tried to capture all of these key...
Wonder if they were in touch with board expectations. Imagine if you had different board and fan expectations. So, like, that might throw, like, a bit of a curveball. So if you've got board expectations of, you know, Man United are a good example of this, right? Sign high-profile players, like, at least, like, previously. You want signing high-profile players, don't really care too much about winning everything, but they want to have, like, you know, a global impact on, you know, be really improve the reputation of the club, or like the global standing of the club, but not really be that asked about winning. Whereas the club are more about developing young players, playing attractive football. The fans are more about playing attacking football, developing young players, signing certain kinds of players, whatever it is. And then you've got that kind of the battle between the board demands and the fans' demands, and you're trying to, like, tread the line between them. That'd be really interesting.
Key differences with
I was not paying attention then. I went off my own little...
The research team really tried to...
Supporter feedback on matches. Okay. So, like, because you've already got board feedback on matches, right? That's cool. That's really cool. That's going to be so good for... I'm just thinking, like, for streams and YouTube videos and people who make content and stuff, as well as you guys, like, anyone who's just playing it off their own back. But having that dynamic with a fan base, or with fan bases as you move around clubs, or, like, that's going to be really interesting. That's going to be a really nice little backstory to your saves.
It is with some parts of the research that will be directly exposed in the game, with the different supporter profiles that you're going to see, and also some.
Be interesting to see if you could use the fans to your advantage if you're close to being sat by the fans, back me, etc. Or if, like, you're not being back, like, they're not giving you any transfer budget, but you've got a load of money in the bank, or, like, certain things that you need, like you want to improve training facilities or X, Y, Z. It's like, well, look, the fans love, like, the fans really back me as well. It feels like the only other thing that you could really do for the fans was, like, it was just winning games, really. It was nothing really to do with how you were playing. And also, it felt like the media representation. So if you were skipping media obligations, then, like, you'd have this check mark against you. Whereas I wonder now, like, if you're, you know, if the fans love you, but you don't do any media stuff, I wonder whether, or maybe they go hand in hand, maybe do it, like, talking to the media and being honest with the media will affect, you know, how the fans view you.
Behind the scene attributes that we're going to use to base our systems. So how much of an influence do your fans have on the boards? How much of an influence they have on your job security as well? how patient are they with your choices, how passionate are they with them as well. There are some bits here and there that in the future team we can use to really build the best and the most interesting features that we can.
This is your first game, right? How do you feel about this in the fact that are you going to make people lose their jobs? That's going to be on you. Are you going to be okay with that this year?
So that's
or will it allow people to keep their jobs?
So that's the two sides of the coin, right? So the fans will have a big say about your job security, but it's depending on that on the club that you're managing. But yes, that's what I'm most excited about. Is that, well, you know, when we're working on a new.
It's just another dynamic for the game, right? It's another thing to kind of to keep in mind.
Sure, well,
I guess at the end of the day, like if you're winning games and winning trophies, then the fans are going to love you.
Trying to assess what is the story that we're trying to tell, but also what impact does it have on the actual gameplay, on your choices. And here they will definitely have an impact, and it's one of the most crucial system that we have in the game, right? It's your ability to keep your job and to keep managing the club that you like. And essentially, if you're ignoring the fans where they have a huge influence on the board, yes, that might put you in trouble.
See, I like the idea with that, just to kind of expand on that. If you're going to like do a bit of a roleplay save, go a bit of a, you know, just go to outspoken, turn into the outspoken manager, don't really care about the fans, or vice versa. Don't care about the board, only care about the fans. I wonder whether that's something you could bring into it.
One of the most visual additions to FM23 is the dynamic manager timeline. Ali Skews, the junior game designer, joins me now to talk through this. As we said, very, very visual element of the game this year. Tell me about it.
Yeah, so basically what dynamic manager timeline is reframing what we consider milestones and achievements to be in FM. So right now it's a list of very objective milestones and achievements, so like winning the league, winning manager of the month. We got all those kind of objective lists there. We wanted to include the subjective elements. Those are what really define the story. So we really wanted to reinforce those storytelling elements and really highlight to a player that every save is unique to them, really.
So what can you expect to see in terms of this element, and when does it sort of arrive within the game?
Yeah, so it comes in the end of season.
Like a Kevin
review.
Keegan role in Newcastle.
When we talked about it, we were looking at what really we consider to be our favourite things in Football Manager. So like signing a bargain player or integrating a
That's
new
cool.
gen.
That's just going to be good to share on the socials
These are
as
the
well,
things
right?
that like really excite us when we're making the game, and we wanted to have like a physical representation of that.
So this is a kind of a new way of evoking some nostalgia, I would imagine, because also I guess in terms of
will the fans be able to
it's 1
discern
year,
when a player is sold over your head, be angry at the board rather than you? Maybe.
Comes at you. But
Maybe.
once you've been managing 20 years, I don't know what your PB is in terms of how many seasons you've done on Football Manager, but as that goes along, that dynamic timeline is going to look pretty extensive. What will be included and what won't?
Yeah, like nostalgia is a great word for it. I think whenever I'm chatting to my friends about Football Manager, we're not talking about how many times we've won the league. It's always about these like special players that you've grown affection for, or the time that you beat your rival 5-0 after 4 years of not doing so. So those are the things we really wanted to highlight. Those kind of special, unique moments in your save.
The story of it.
That you
it's a
kind
story
of don't
game.
really see much in the game. You don't really get a pat on the back for signing a bargain player, but it means so much to you when you're doing it.
Is the aim really just to kind of offer up a bit of nostalgia and light when you're sort of not in the grind of your FM save, but just that moment to step back and see what you've achieved along the way?
Yeah, definitely. We really want to give that sense of scale. We want to show you like where you've come from to where you've ended up, and show you that it's about like the journey to get there rather than the actual destination. I think that's what
It'd be nice to get sent off as a manager and sit amongst the fans.
And in that save,
I wonder if you could like ever berate the third
memorable
official.
Moments, but memorable
I don't know if
players as
that's
well.
something they want to
Who's the
encourage.
guy? Who was the guy in that save?
The guy for me it was Felipe Greco, who played as number 10. I think he had like
Except
18 techniques, so he was just like a beautiful player to watch. And yeah, this is the great thing about it. You have when you have these kind of wonder kids who perform miracles for you, you see that reflected on the timeline.
Stand on top of dugout.
Records, if they're the youngest player to ever score for your club, you'll see that represented, and you can look back on it and remember where Felipe Greco started from, really.
Yeah, and keep an eye on him, I guess, as well.
Exactly, yeah.
This is lovely, isn't it? I think the dynamic manager timeline, I think it allows us, we've spoken about so much, and you like getting into the weeds of recruitment or AI or the match engine, but this is where we want everyone who's on FM, they want to get to this point where they've got a nice dynamic manager timeline to look at and enjoy those great moments. Thanks so much for chatting with me, Ali. Loved it.
No worries, great.
So there we have it. 5 key headline feature
Cool.
areas delivered from the studio itself. But it doesn't stop there. The Football Manager team will be providing even more detail on these additions, as well as other improved gameplay areas in the coming days and weeks across the website and exclusive members hub, FMFC. So sign up and keep an eye on their socials for updates. Football Manager 2023 is released worldwide on November the 8th. And if you pre-purchase now on PC or Mac, you can secure 20% off and early access.
You can also get an extra discount if you use my code VikingDan on 2Game. Hey! Chat, what do we think? Thanks, Jimmy. You did a great job. What are our thoughts, chat? I like some of these. The thing to bear in mind, right, is one thing that I was hoping that they'd announce. But now I think about it, it might just be one of those things that gets added or like kind of gets announced alongside the other stuff. I really wanted expanded data center stuff, but maybe that'll be something that'll come out kind of further down the line. The big kind of new recruitment thing I'm interested in. Looks very interesting. I don't know how much I'll use the planner. But the fact that you can have it kind of goes hand in hand with like if you've got a planner here and you have your, I'm just going to mute this for when I move through it. If you've got your planner here for the current season, next season, the season after, you can kind of figure out who's going to be leaving and who's going to be coming in. And you can use that as a building block for the recruitment meetings, wherever they were. I wish YouTube had you could see where you were skipping to, for the improved recruitment meetings. So you can use that to kind of go, all right, well, in 2 years, I'm going to need this kind of midfielder because this guy's 32. So you can send out your scouts to go and look for him, bring him back in and get it kind of all going that way. Rather than being reactionary year on year, you can kind of plan a little bit more long term. So I do like that. It's one of those features that I don't know how much I'll use, but I'll get a way better idea of how I'll use it when I finally get my hands on it. The talking to agents thing about new contracts is really cool. Really like that. The match engine changes look good. I'm all for having improved defensive AI. Where's the bit where he talks about defensive stuff though? Nick. Quiet Nick. Where is it? Let's move through a double speed. We'll find it here. Where was it, chat? Where was it when he was showing the new defensive stuff? Oh, here we go. So you'll have a high press, mid block, and low block. You can choose your defensive line. So yeah, I wonder whether this defensive line thing is going to be more where your defense sits, kind of just generally on the pitch, and when you drop deeper, that's when you'll kind of sit onto the edge of your box. It might be situational depending on where the ball is on the pitch, maybe. So like on their half or in your half as well. Because there has been that, I have had it before where I've been playing like a deeper defensive line or even a higher defensive line, and they'll just not be where I expect them to be on the pitch. So maybe this is like allowing players to drop off and follow a runner rather than hold a strict defensive line. Oh, actually, chat. Have you noticed what I've noticed? Let's see if anyone in chat can see it. So he's probably fuming on scouting bits are useless now. I'm sure there'll still be like the classic way of doing it. Solid improvements, me like most of the new stuff. Hope they've done more with the media and team talks. Yeah, I think like because that's not so much a new feature. Like a lot of the things, well, everything they've announced here is like new things to the game. In terms of feature expansion, hopefully we'll see some more information, but we'll see, right? Nice quality of life improvements like the agent stuff, the fans' confidence. I really like the fans' confidence thing. This defensive thing's going to be interesting. It's always the small features I get more excited for anyway. Hopefully the dynamic youth rating is actually real this time. Well, apparently the update sorted that, right? How long until Dan gets angry at an agent asking for ridiculous money in a one-on-one? No comment. No comment. It's a bit like the Peterborough model where they know if they sell a player who they want to bring in, obviously. But yeah, you can kind of just like have a bit more of an eye on the future. You can have an eye on 3 years down the line rather than just like the current season or the next season. But yeah, I've not seen anyone say. I've not had anyone notice what I noticed. Supposedly being able to soak pressure will be better this version. Hopefully so, yeah. I wish there was a set piece creator, more reason to do press conferences in the transfer market. There might be better AI in the transfer market. That might be part of the new recruitment thing. I like the improvement to manager AI as well, apparently. Like, obviously, we'll see when the game comes out. But they said that there's improvements to manager AI, how manager deals with tactical situations. That's going to be really cool. No, the thing that's missing... There's a thing missing, chat. What have I noticed that's missing? The debug menus look good. I want that to be an option. I want you to be able to tick on debug menus. Offside Trap. So, right, what I've just noticed that's there. That's not there. I think this is essentially use the Offside Trap. You got prevent goalkeeping there. You've not got an Offside Trap button. Remember there was a I think it was up here, right? Use Offside Trap. Ah, you're on mobile. Okay. Yeah, I'm sure it was up here, a button that was like, use Offside Trap. I think this is going to be holding your defensive line is going to be like having your Offside Trap on. Having non-selected will be like not having Offside Trap on. And drop deeper will, I assume, like encourage players to drop in. Like could follow runners or kind of like follow their man a little bit more. Which is really good. Because how many times, chat, did we see a player here just get onto a ball over the top and your player not follow a runner? Whereas if you got like the ability to tell people to drop deeper, you might have a player sweep across and pick up the ball. You the other guy was saying it earlier. I missed that. Pressing traps defend, replacing defend wide, defend narrow. Yeah, so trap inside and trap outside, I assume is going to be like the old play, like force inside, force outside. So if you trap outside, it's going to force a player who's here to move out here, or maybe it means you press them more, so they'll try and force them through the middle a little bit more, and vice versa. Isn't that the cover roll? Maybe it goes hand in hand. Like the stopper and cover roll affect where they position themselves on the pitch and how they press a man, as well as like whether they're running behind. It's why a cover role, like when you've got differing roles on a defensive line previously, like you got errors. So maybe if you've got a cover centre back and this ticked on, you'll have people sweeping up behind. Kind of, like how Kyle Walker does as a wide centre back. He's always the guy like running in behind, being like a wide sweeper. Be interesting. I'm just kind of like, I'm just posturing at this point because yeah, I'll need to play around with it to find out. Maybe they build into the player's positioning. Well, I assume if you're talking about the offside trap, I think this is going to be the offside trap. I think this is going to be the offside trap button. So you can either tick that on or off, and then the drop deeper one, I assume, allows or encourages players to follow runs or like break away from the defensive line if a through ball is played through. What's your favourite thing, Dan? Personally, I really like this. I really like this. The fan dynamics thing's really interesting though. I think that's a really cool addition. I think it gives a whole nother level of immersion, like storytelling capabilities. It just gives you a little bit more kind of reason to buy into a save. The new the UEFA stuff looks cool. That's just like it's like UI stuff that though. It looks cool though. Can't hear me, you got an ad? Well, it is September. So for the rest of September, you can save up to 30% on a resub or a subscription. I wonder if they speed up club rep gains. Or I wonder whether like the other way around, I wonder whether your club reputation increasing will change the makeup of your fan base, right? So let's find the fan base thing. Where was it now? Here we go. Right. Supporter group. I wonder like the more that your reputation increases, so your global audience increases, I wonder whether you'll get like more casual fans or corporate fans or fair weather fans. So like maybe like the higher your reputation, the hardcore decreases and then like the corporate increases or something. And vice versa. Like if you start to drop down the divisions or you have a really rough time and don't win something for ages, like you'd assume like corporate would go down and like your hardcore and core fan base would go up because like they'd be the more people that would be wanting to go to the games. That's going to be an interesting thing to see how that works. My bad, had Castro shine at you. Just subscribe, dude. Hope this won't be for just the top 4 leagues in Europe. I don't see why it would be. Family seems way too high. I don't know the percentage of family tickets that make up the match day ticket sales. I'd assume there's a high percentage. There'll be a lot of dad and lads, right? A lot of dads and lads. I very much doubt it's only the top 4 leagues in Europe for that. I'm sure it'll be at every club. I don't think this is something that where you'd only have it at certain clubs. The reason they'll be showing this is just because they've got a license for the Bundesliga, right? They've got the German license. Yeah. I'd be very surprised if that was the case. Does family mean player, coach, direct team, employees, family? No. I think that means dad and lad. So like a parent and a younger kid. A parent and a kid going to a game. Rather than like, I'd assume this is your ultras. This is your Stretford end. You get your core fan base who are the big fans of the club. Then you'll have your dads and lads. Casual fans, like they could just get a ticket whenever. And then you got obviously corporate and your casual. Fair weather fans. I assume your fair weather fans disappear when you start losing games. High hardcore probably reduces family, I'm guessing. Yeah, maybe. Like, it'll be interesting to see how the dynamic works. That's going to be something that I'm going to be spending quite a lot of time looking at, you know. Maybe maybe you'll have like maybe I'll do like a 6 monthly thing of like, let's see how our supporter profile is changing. Your family stand. It'd be cool if you could like ask for like a hardcore fans end. If you've got like 20% hardcore fans, you could go, can we get like a safe standing area for the hardcore fans or something? It's cool. I really like this. This is a really cool addition. Interested to see what other things get announced as well, because there will be, like was being said there, there'll be more additions released, which I assume is going to be expansions on current game features. So fingers crossed there's going to be something going on with the data hub there. But I like it, chat. I like it. I like the look of it. I'll definitely be playing the game. I mean, I play the game all the time anyway.